So we're going to jump right in and we'll get started. And ladies and gentlemen, Bill Carlson. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Sal. Thanks for having me yet again. I appreciate everyone attending this morning, and I certainly thank the Middle Country Public Library for making this available to their patrons. Some great information here. I don't know if any of you may have attended or maybe had viewed the earlier recordings of the programs that we had done before. If so, you might find that some of this information is information that you had already gleaned in an earlier session. If not, I'll certainly try to share some insights with you about how to use the database specifically as it relates to finding those job opportunities wherever they might be. You might be looking there specifically in New York, or you might be considering a move and you want to look in that new community. You can look obviously anywhere in the United States utilizing our database. So with that said, I do want to introduce you to a few of the housekeeping items that I like to cover real quickly. Of course, you can find us under the Miller Business Center with Reference Solutions. We do offer other webinars to the public, so you could always check those out and attend any of those. There's no charge for that. And then we do have under the Learning Center some information that you may want to utilize at any point in time. You can certainly always reach out to the Miller Business Center to get assistance with doing a search. We also take those kinds of calls. In fact, I was just sharing with Sal before we started this morning that I've seen an uptick in the phone calls that I've fielded from patrons, and they're asking questions about how to use the jobs module. So it's been interesting that there's been that increase. Our contact us information is here in a few different spots, so certainly feel free if you'd like to reach out to us. I did want to point out under this marketing and training material, when you open this window on this far right-hand side, you've got the database overviews. So we do have one specifically for the U.S. jobs and internships, and I'm also going to introduce you today to the U.S. business database. The jobs and internships information we're obtaining from Indeed.com, and they send us a feed, several feeds throughout the day, and we match or look to match that job opening or that internship with the business record for that company that's doing the hiring. So that's why I'm going to introduce you to both of these modules. And of course, if you were to go directly to Indeed.com, you wouldn't have this element. So it's great insight to be able to get. Not only are you going to learn about the business that's doing the hiring, but you can also learn about their competitors. So gives you a little bit more insight about that industry that you could perhaps have some dialogue in your interview with that company about the competition. Right? It's imperative that we garner as much information as we can about a business, and certainly knowing about their competitors is helpful. I'm going to go ahead and go back here to the home page. I do like to point out that we offer an app, so feel free if you would like to use the app, you could download that. And then last but not least, we have personal accounts. So if you would like to set up a personal account, you can register for that and then log in, and you can save virtually anything from these 10 modules except for the jobs and internships. With this one, you can email yourself the results, but you can't save them to this personal account. But otherwise, all these other 9, you could certainly save that information and come back to it whenever you'd like. And I mentioned that this is being updated daily. Our US business information, which certainly gets a lot of attention because there's so much B2B marketing going on, not to mention different types of research that businesses are doing about various industries. Do they want to perhaps approach or go into a particular approach with different industries? You could certainly learn that kind of insight, learn about executives, etc. So this information, as we make our verification phone calls to businesses across the country. We do that day in and day out, Monday through Saturday. We'll push live any of that information that we have that we've been able to get verified during that week. We push that live on Thursday night into Friday morning. So this is being updated once a week, whereas this is being updated, of course, daily. So let's do this. I'll go ahead and open the US jobs and internships module. The nice thing about all of these, they all pretty much search the same way. You're always going to come into this quick search page first. In this case, you could do a search using a job title, a keyword, or even a company name. Maybe you heard about a company that's doing some hiring and you want to check that out. You could certainly try that as well. And then, of course, just whatever geography you want to put that in. And I don't want to overlook, and I'm sure the library has a deep section of resources that would be available to you related to job searching. We also have some of that information, and we all have our favorites, right? So I do tend to encourage people to go to this particular site. I used to work with all of the career one-stop locations down in Florida, so I know the kind of work they do and the commitment that they have to their communities. So they offer this great resource. Know that you can take advantage of any of this information as well, if you would certainly like to. Certainly up to you. So know that that's always going to be available. And I'd mentioned that I've taken some phone calls recently. A lady had called up and she had asked about, can I find a position for I've been an administrative assistant for a number of years and I want to find that position. So that's a real easy search in the database here. I would just put in admin, and as you can see, I'm starting to key that in, and it's starting to try and assess what I'm looking for. So here's my administrative assistant. I can select that, and whenever I'm in this quick search, I'm doing it one at a time. So I can look for administrative assistant, and then it's just, where do I want to look at? So let's go to your community and look. And the way the system is set up, whenever I view my results, it will automatically look at all of the listings that have been sent to us in the last 7 days through Indeed, and it always does a 25-mile radius. I can certainly affect that radius once I get into the advanced search. But whenever I'm doing this from quick search, it's always going to do that 25-mile radius in 7 days. So in the last 7 days, there are 144 results. As you can see here, a total of 6 pages. And here are all those listings. So the job title is listed in this left-hand column. Then the company that's doing the hiring is listed in this center column. And then, of course, you've got your location and date posted. So all you need to do is decide, which of these might look most attractive to you as you're gleaning or going through this information. So there's an office administrative assistant, office assistant, administrative support. So as you're going through this and you're trying to decide what might look best for you, you can certainly grab whatever one of these you'd like. So well, here's one for just an administrative assistant. And there's another one, they're capitalized. I do want to point out, notice how these companies that have the hyperlinks to them, those are our business records, and we were able to make a match to those records. Those that don't have that hyperlink to them, we weren't able to make a match. There wasn't enough information that came across in that feed that we received in order to be able to make a match. So wherever you see it's just kind of grayed out, what I encourage people to do, especially since you're going to be able to also have access to the US business database, you could write down the names of these companies and then do a search for them in the US business database. So know that we were able to make hyperlinks. So if I wanted to look at this one, I can open up that record just as you would expect to see with Indeed. And if you're not real familiar with Indeed, they also aggregate, they are their own posting site, but then they also aggregate information from Monster, CareerLink, county posting sites. So they have a certainly a wide reach, if you will, as it relates to those openings. Here's my information for this administrative assistant. I can certainly apply through that particular company. It's a full-time job. Here's that description. And I would like you to pay attention. Let's see if we find a salary on this, because I'm going to come back to salary when we get over to advanced search. But so far, I am not seeing a salary listed. Nope. So this job was originally listed 4 days ago. So it's within that 7-day time frame that I mentioned, but there is no salary. So I'll address that when we get over there. So you can learn about this opportunity, what's required of you. If it's something that you would be interested in, you like what you learned about the company a little bit here, and you would like to look at that even further, you can certainly either leave this page open, or you can close it. It'll bring you back here, and then you just have to click on the company name. So I'll click on that hyperlink. Notice in this case, it's giving me two records, but I'm also getting this at the same street address. So I would just go with this first record, open it up, and here's that information for that particular company. It is one of our verified records. We also have unverified. And the way that a business ends up in that status is when we go to call them, let's say we make that first attempt and we don't reach them, we will continue to do so throughout that year time frame. Whenever the trigger was to call them, we will continue to do so 6 times a year. We'll do that for 2 consecutive years. If after that point in time we haven't identified that they've in fact maybe closed, and we don't know obviously that they're open, we'll put them in that unverified status. So just because you see an unverified record that might be presented to you, don't necessarily take it that oh, that business has got to be closed. Not necessarily. You know your own community. You might be able to glean some more information and learn that that company is actually still open. And I'll show you how you can tell us about that through this data feedback button here in a little bit. So I've got this location information about this company, got their website. There's that administrative support position that they have listed there, along with a few other options. Notice they have this corporate tree structure. If you select the up arrow, it will present you with one record and one record only. And that would either be the subsidiary that's responsible for all of these branches, or if there's not a subsidiary, it would take you to the ultimate parent, and that would be it. If you select this org chart, it will show you everything from that parent company here and along with their branches. And then apparently they have 4 other subsidiaries. So know that you can get to that level of data if you need to. And if you need to understand what this PV stands for, I have this legend that runs across the top. So I'll tell you what that's about as well. I could even get into this particular company's parent record if I wanted to take a look at that. Looks like they're a pretty healthy company. I'm going to go back to my original record here because I want to show you some more information. So I've got this industry profile. Every single business has an SIC code. In this case, the primary code for accountants is this 2101. All you need to know is or be concerned with is the description so that you know what industry it is that you're perhaps applying for. I have I won't have the business profile on each and every branch, but I will have that at the parent level. I have Google Maps embedded in here, so if that would be useful for you, know that you could certainly access this and even print it off if you wanted to, or utilize that satellite view, perhaps that street view. Just depends on what is important for you. And this is a perfect example. So when we contacted this particular branch, and we call all the individual ones, not just the parent, because our our approach has always been get as many businesses at their location as possible. So when we called to verify this information this month, they did not give us an actual number of employees. So that's one of those questions that we'll ask a business when we're making that verification call. How many employees do you have? About 72% will give us an actual number. Those that don't, we look at their peers and we assign a range as a result of that. Again, I know that this is a private company. I can get to that parent company if I'd like. We'll, we'll update this again then in March of 21, unless, of course, we were to learn something about this particular location in between now and March of 21. So I have that information. They did not respond to the question in terms of who's that owner or manager of this location. Company news, we get this through Bing. So it will either be about the company itself or the industry. So you could certainly take advantage and glean any information you can through that. Stock data, of course, there isn't any because it's a private company, right? In fact, if this were a public company, I wouldn't see the stock data on a branch. I would see that on the parent. I have those business expenditures, followed by a little bit of historical data, including I can get into these other options if I want. Plus, I have, if they've taken out a loan, in this case, they haven't. If they've taken out a loan, we would capture that information and identify, that they put something up as collateral. It might have been equipment, it could be anything, right? Then I have the nearby businesses, and then as well, their competitors. So if I wanted to check out and see if any of these competitors also had opportunities available, I could certainly click on that and get to that information. And quickly I can identify if there's anything there or not. So know you can always take advantage of that competitor's information as well here. So always feel free to take advantage of that and double check to see what might be available. And by the way, I mentioned that you could update anything. Let's say that you had an interview at this particular business, and in the process of that interview, you were told that they had 7 employees at this location. You could select this data feedback button, and this would be that additional update that we do because of the information we're learning from you. As it notes here, this information will be sent to these researchers who are going to do that callback or do that research. All you need to do is put a check mark next to the item or items that need to be updated, and then we'll process that. So if it were number of employees, just put a check mark there, put in that number 7, and then submit this information to us. We'll send you an email back immediately that we received your query, and then we'll also send you an update to that query in 7 to 10 business days once we've reached them. So know that anything can be updated, any record can be updated as it needs to be. I'm going to simply close this guy, cancel this one because I already got to the record I needed. And I could go ahead and continue looking at other opportunities, or maybe I want to drill in a little further here on these pages and take a look at other opportunities. I could certainly do that. Just depends on what I need to be able to do. I do want to show you though, so I'll start a new search. I do want to show you the advanced search option. This allows us to filter a little bit more, including salary. So I always encourage folks, as you noted, it shows here the salary estimate. If you're going to use salary, do it both ways. Do it one with and one without. The without will always produce more records because there aren't as many companies that are actually posting salary information through whichever posting site they may have utilized. So certainly use, if you want to use that, use it both ways. You can do a search using certain words, an exact phrase, maybe again looking at a specific company. By job type, it refers to full-time all the way down through temporary. So just depends on what you would like to utilize or look at here. I'm going to say full-time. And I'll change up this mileage. Notice that always defaults to that 25 miles that I mentioned when we were in quick search. I can change it up to a mile all the way up to 100 miles. So, I'll change this guy up and I'll just take it at uh, 10 miles. I'll do 5 miles. What the heck? And we'll do your community. And I can select that. I'll do this at 3 days. I better make that 5 miles because here's what I'm going to look for. Get this question a lot. Can I find work from home opportunities? Absolutely. If you can think of a job title, chances are it's going to be here. So I'll select work from home. Notice there was one that was work at home. So we do try to change that around a little bit because some posters, some businesses may post it as a work from home. Some may post it as a work at home. So we want to cover as many of those approaches that they may use. So I'll do work from home, full-time opportunities within 10 miles of your community in the last 3 days. So these are pretty fresh opportunities. And I have 14 of those that are opportunities that have just been posted within those last 3 days. So again, you would look at or review this information. Maybe you're interested in maybe you have some bilingual skills and they need this housing counselor. If that were something of interest, you could certainly open that up, find out. Now, in this case, they did have a salary listed. Not all of them certainly do that. And it does mention here remote and it's temporary. So eventually they're going to want people to come back into the office. So you've got that job description here. Yep, they've got the benefits that they offer with that. The schedule is a Monday through Friday. All that pertinent information that someone would want to certainly know. All that is available. If that's all you need, you can certainly close this and then you can come right into the Long Island Housing Services, Inc. and open up that record. Let's see. So this brought me right to that verified record. And I can quickly go down and check to see if that job listing is there. There's no parent structure to this. That's why you're not seeing that window opportunity here. I can certainly learn about that industry that they're in, where they're physically located. They have 9 employees at this point as it relates to that. We just updated this. So again, we'll update it next year. There's the management directory, and you could notice it identifies these 4 executives. If you wanted to identify companies that had an HR presence, I'll show you how you can do that in the US business database. Again, I've got that company news link, some of that historical, and then those competitors. Again, based on that SIC code that they're under. So again, I can open up any of those competitors and learn about opportunities that they might have available as well. So know that every one of the records is going to be set up similar to this. The only difference might be versus verified versus unverified. We'll never show you a closed record, not one that we know of that's closed. Any questions on the ability to search for opportunities in the jobs module?
Nothing as of yet.
Feel free to ask it. Would anyone like me to do a specific type of search?
Yeah, let's see. If you want Bill to do a specific search for maybe a company you're looking for to work at,
Or a type of job? Yeah.
okay, yeah, just let us know in the chat.
And we can certainly always come back to that. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I do want to be able to also show you the US business database. We're in the jobs and internships. So if I want to get back to the main page, this is how I can navigate there. Just by simply clicking reference solutions, it brings me right back to the main page. We were just here in the jobs and internships. Now I'm going to pull up the US business database. So think of the two this way. In terms of jobs and internships, I can identify those by type of job. When I'm in the US business database, it's by type of industry, right? So let me go ahead and open this. Notice again, I always come to this quick search page. In this case, I could look at one particular type of business. I could even, maybe there was an executive that I knew that worked at a company, but I've learned or I've heard that they're no longer there. I could try and do an executive first name, last name search. Hopefully, you at least have that city and state that they're in so you can narrow that. I could even do a reverse phone number lookup. Most of the time, people go right to advanced search. And by the way, additional filters goes to advanced search. So I'll open that up, and this will allow me to really build my search based on specifically what I'm interested in as it relates to the type of business, or maybe even just maybe you're not so much interested in a specific type of business, but rather a location, maybe around where you live, and you want to see the job openings that are there in totality, not necessarily based on type of job opportunity. You could certainly search the database that way quite easily using any of these geography options. So let me show you how this would work. When we were in quick search, we could see where I could look at one company by name. This option gives me the ability to do it by multiple companies. So if I wanted maybe 3 companies here, maybe I want IBM as one of those companies, maybe I want Starbucks as one of those companies. I can add as many companies by name that I would like to see, and then of course just select my geography. Otherwise, we'll always give you the name of the company. So you don't have to drive anything in by company name. We'll always give you the name of that company. We'll always give you this executive information as well. But I did mention that if you were interested in those executives by certain title, maybe you only want to work for a company that has an owner present. You could drive in just those kinds of records. Maybe you want to identify uh, those companies with an HR person that's available. You could select both if you'd like, or one, just up to you. So in this case, you may get two names, or you may only get the HR executive. Otherwise, we'll always give you this information. Maybe you want to work for a female led business. You could certainly use that as a filter. Maybe you want to work for a female led business that's a Hispanic business. You could certainly do that. Just depends on how many of these filters match your interest that you want to apply. Think of it this way: the more of the filters that you add, the tighter the funnel becomes. So fewer results will come out, right? Uh, so know that that is certainly something that you could do. Most people do a keyword search. They don't worry about the SIC code. If you happen to know one, you could use that too. But the keyword is so much easier. You know, if you were interested in an opportunity to work as a barista at a coffee shop, you could just put in coffee shops and then whatever geography you want to look, and then you're going to look at those records independently. Uh, let's leave that there for now, and we'll do your city. Actually, I'll do your county first because I do want to show you one tool. So we'll come in here to New York and Suffolk. Okay, so I'm looking at all coffee shops. I have a total of across the count. Oops, I didn't. Bill, I only showed you half of it. My apologies. You definitely want to search for what it is you're looking for. There it is. So there's my SIC code in that coffee shop. Now I can, so I have 264 around the county that are coffee shops. So if I wanted to get to that entire group, I could certainly do so. Or maybe I want to add some additional filters. Maybe I want to add sales volumes as filters. So I could say, you know what? I would only be interested in those businesses that are, say, doing 500,000 to a million or a million to 2.5. What is that going to do to my total? So it drops it down to 170. You can see how you can apply these various filters and then be able to produce whatever results are available then at that point in time. Maybe you'd like to work for a location that's not necessarily been around for a long time. You could come in here to the years in the database and you could say, hey, of this 170, how many of them might be no older than 4 years old? 16 of those. So you get the idea of how I can eventually get to that data. And then if that's what I wanted, at least initially, doesn't mean that it's that they're all going to have opportunities available there. And not surprising, wow, Dunkin almost equaling that of Starbucks in number of locations. My goodness. Uh, and Dunkin Donuts, if you didn't know this, they're actually part of a much larger company. They're actually owned by this private equity firm out of Atlanta, Georgia. They just came under their umbrella probably within the last 3 months. I learned about that by going to one of the Dunkin' Donut locations, opening up that record and looking and seeing that under the company news. So, great reason or great insight when you go into any of these. I can quickly find out if they have job openings, which apparently there are a few. And I can always as I mentioned with that company news, I can always go into that and glean. Oh, and when you know it, I don't have any news available on this one. Darn it. That is, we're getting our company news through Bing. Boy, it took me a second there. So certainly refer to that. And again, I've got those same list of competitors. And of course, since I'm looking at the competitors, it won't matter if it's Starbucks or any other type of brewery that serves great coffee. So know that that is available. And I can just keep opening the ones that I want to look at. If they're located maybe where near where I live, I can look at that. In fact, let's do it this way. I'll show you another tool. I'm going to revise my search, and I'm going to use, I will open this up by getting rid of some of these. This gives me 170. Yeah, I'll do that. And I'm going to get rid of my county selection. And instead of the county, I'm going to use this map-based search tool. This can be a great tool to use. So I'll open this. And then at this time, all I need to do is decide what I want to put in here. Do I want to put in my physical address and then do a true radius around my address? Do I want to put in my zip codes, city, state? How do I want to do that? Let's do, Sal, what's a quick zip code there?
In Suffolk County,
Yeah.
let's try 11784. It's our neighbors
784. All right.
in our other location.
So there I am. I can do a true radius by simply clicking that radius, define radius, and then coming to my point. And then it's a simple click, hold it, and drag it away in any direction you want to go. You can see that it's already out to about a mile right there. So if that were all the further I wanted to go out, fine. I can let go, and then it will tabulate the results that I have available there. I'm going to go out a couple of miles. So there's my 2-mile mark, roughly. So I have 4 locations within that 2 miles that match my interest. So if that's the case, you can see I'm ready to give those to you. All you have to do is say done and then view your results. And you could look at those 4 results real quick to see if they had any job listings available there. You can also use these other tools if you would like. I'll just delete this one. You can draw your own shape. So if you wanted to, and again, it can be any shape that you want to. Let's say that you want to start right here and you want to come over here towards this 347, then down, then back this way, and we'll call that our shape right there. I can double click to finish it, and then again, it's going to calculate what I have in that area. So you can use any of those shapes. I can also use some of these predetermined boundaries. So as you can see, it always starts with the boundary of the state, but I could overlay, I better get a little, well, let's see, I'm going to do the zip codes. Oh, that was quick. I thought the zip codes might be a little tighter than that. When using the zip codes, it's just a matter of selecting the zip code that you want to use or look at. So I've got 3 in one, 2 in another. What do I have here? I have 3 there and I have 2 there. So if I wanted to look at that group of 10, 11, excuse me, 10, no, 10, yeah. I can say done and view my results. And then again, I can just open these guys up as I want to and look quickly to see if they have any opportunities. So there's one there in Centeridge. Any questions on how I manipulated that screen in order to get to these results?
That's a really great feature there, Bill. I love that the map-based search is just fantastic.
It is, and it allows you that perspective that we all kind of maybe have a slight idea of what our city boundary might be, but this really allows you to see it in a more concrete fashion so that you can make some decisions. Uh, I can even use the map tool. I'll revise this slightly. I can even use the map tool to do a drive route. So if I wanted to, I'll just get rid of these guys. If I wanted to do a drive route, let's say that I use some form of transit. I can put in where I pick up maybe the bus at, or maybe where I would pick up the subway at. I could put that address in as my beginning address, and then my ending address would be however far I would be willing to travel by that vehicle. Uh, to whatever end that's going to be. I can put that address in. So it could be a street corner, 5th and Main, right, to 10th and Douglas. And then how far off of center do I want to go? The max is 15 miles because we know that there are those people that might travel quite a ways. Imagine rural America, like here in Omaha, Nebraska. We have people that drive from communities that are 30, 40, 50 miles away to come into Omaha to work. So you can create this drive route and you can look a maximum of 15 miles to the north or south or east or west, depending on which way the roadway goes, and then find all of the businesses that match your criteria. I'll just do my community real quick here. I don't know, I've done this using coffee shops, so I'm going to do this and see what it produces. So I'm going to say Omaha, Nebraska. Again, it could be a physical address here. I could be putting in my home address, maybe where I would start driving from, right? And the buffer distance is, again, how far do I want to go north, south, east, west? I'll say 0.5, so a half a mile north of a half a mile south. I'll create my route, and then it will tabulate. So there are 11 results between Omaha and Lincoln, and the majority of them are probably in both of those communities. I can't remember many of those coffee shops along this stretch of road, but you get the idea. If that's all you need, you can say done, view those 11, and you can quickly go through and look and see what uh, exists in terms of job openings. So it again just depends on how you want. I'm learning about some new uh, I'm learning about some new locations I might have to check out for coffee. Uh, I can also put this information, if it would be helpful, I could put it back on this, we call it our heat map. It's a density map. And in this case, it will present to me this image of the United States. And it looks like there's a severe storm over Nebraska, but that's not a storm. Notice how it starts to list all those locations here, and then I can drill in, and it may take me a few clicks on this plus symbol to get there, probably 7 or 8, and I might have to reposition my screen, of course, to keep these locations in the center of my screen. But once I have gotten closer, you can see how this all breaks out. So here's all those locations. Like I said, the majority of them are probably going to be in Omaha and in Lincoln, and they are. There's nothing in between once you get beyond, at least in that half mile north, half mile south uh, analysis of that area. If I'd expand that to a mile on either side of that roadway, then I'd have picked up more locations. So know that you can certainly utilize this as well. Great little tool to be able to use.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for showing us the map, because I think it's one of the better, if not the best, features for folks who require that kind of visualization of things.
Yes, absolutely. Did anybody ask about any type of job searches?
We didn't get any requests for that, uh,
Okay.
but I'll pick one. Can we look up for jobs? Can we look up? Let's look up libraries.
You
Librarian.
know, Sal, I did that one time and I got in trouble.
Oh,
Uh,
did you?
the very first time I did that was at the request of a librarian, and I was in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Uh-huh.
Let's see what happens here. I'll
Let's
do
look up, yes, let's
librarian.
look up librarians in Daytona.
Okay,
Let's say we wanna move to a more warmer climate.
right. Daytona Beach it is. So when I did this, let's see. Now this is going to go out that 25 miles in the last 7 days. Oh, and zero results.
No
Wouldn't you know it?
result.
But I'm gonna cheat on that because I'm gonna go to advanced search. Just because I didn't find anything in 25 miles doesn't mean that you wouldn't consider going perhaps down to Stewart, Florida instead,
There
right?
you go, as long as it's
So
warm, right?
it's warm in Stewart. Yes. Uh, let's go. Let's do that 50 miles, and we'll do Daytona. Use that as kind of our starting point. And I'm going to change this out to 15 days. Oh, wow. I know, I'm going to,
Let's go, yeah, let's just do it, let's blow it out. Can we do it, just for the whole state of Florida? Is
I
that
want to
possible?
check Boca Raton because I heard they were hiring.
Oh. Here we go,
Oh, and
University
this
of
one's with the
Miami.
University of Miami. Well,
There you go.
you're a little further south, right? So
Yeah, but still, that was just posted yesterday.
when I did this the very first time, there were several listings that came up, and one of them was for a cruise ship. And so I looked at one of the librarians in this. It was a in-person presentation. And I said, "Are there librarians on your cruise ships around here?" And she said, "Absolutely." I said, "I did
Yeah.
not. I've never been on. The boat that I float down the Missouri River. It wouldn't be considered a cruise ship, right? So there's no librarians on board. Uh,
Yeah, that's great.
uh, so I learned something new. And the very following day, I did that search, and that job was gone.
I'm sure.
And I thought, oh, I'm going to get a call from. I knew the director very well. She was from a community here in Nebraska, and I thought for sure I was going to get a call from her. So yeah,
Well, so there you go, right?
I can get to that kind of insight. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we're gonna open it up to questions before we finish up here, and again, thank you so much, Bill, for doing this
Thank
for us,
you.
and for having the information, presenting it so well for us to get, and for doing this for the last 3 months, which is really great. We appreciate it. Are there any questions in the chat before we sign off today? Okay, I'm not seeing anything,
Very
but Bill,
good.
if someone has a question for you,
You bet.
how can they contact you?
Sal, if you would put my email address in that
Certainly.
chat, bill.carlson, Carlson, at data-axle.com.
Fantastic. We'll put that
And
there so
definitely
folks
feel
can see it.
free to reach out to me. I would be happy to assist you with any searches that you were trying to produce.
Yes, and if you are with us this morning and you do not have access to the Miller Center, you definitely want to sign up for a Miller Center card so you can access databases like this fantastic one from Data Axle Reference Solutions. And you can just drop us an email, millercenter@mcplibrary.org, and someone here will assist you in getting that membership and how to get the membership. So thank you very much for attending with us this morning, Bill. Thank you once again for presenting for us, and I hope that maybe in the near future we'll have you back to do some more a nice refresher on this great database that we have here at the center.
I would certainly appreciate that. One day we can do it in person.
That would be great.
Okay.
We would love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for coming. And we'll see you on the next Business Bites. Have a great morning.